Hey guys, I want to talk to you today about the 3 biggest myths about downsizing. A year ago, my husband and I changed our entire lives when we downsized, and I'll link that video at the end of this one. And when we did, we had so many people saying to us, "That was such a great idea. I would like to downsize." And it kind of made me start thinking, why aren't people? What's the biggest reasons they're not? What do they think that downsizing is that it really isn't? So the first obstacle or myth that I hear about downsizing is it takes too much time. Now, if you do it the way that my husband and I did it, where we downsized our entire house and moved and paid off our bills and all that and did basically a lifestyle change, that is very time consuming. Totally worth it, but very time consuming. But you can start small. You could start with your junk drawer and clear it out and take out those things in there that you know you don't need. And then when you're finished, it's nice and neat. You can keep your keys in there. It is honestly very addicting. Like once you feel that release, when that all that stuff is gone, and you realize how much more efficient you are when you're in that space that you've cleared, you'll feel like, I want to do more. Maybe go on to the entire kitchen and clear out the entire kitchen. And then when you're done with that, maybe go on to the next room. And before you know it, you're working on your entire house. The second myth that I've heard is, I don't know where I would put all my stuff. This one kind of has me confused because, okay, on one hand, if you're moving and you're trying to figure out where you're going to put your stuff because you're moving into a smaller house, it's kind of the point of downsizing. You basically just need to get rid of it all. And I know a lot of stuff that holds memories takes some time to go through. One place where people get hung up on, I can't get rid of all that stuff, are their books. And definitely there are books that you want to keep that have memories for you that you really want to keep in your house. But honestly, in the digital age, there is no need to have a million books laying around. You can take those books to the library. Our library is so happy when we bring books by for them to use, and they loan them out and they use those books. Because I have a Kindle and I like to use my Kindle, and I have Audible and I listen to books that way too. But I also like to have, a book where you can turn the pages. But when you're done, you can just take it to the library and they'll happily take it, and you don't have all that clutter building up. So there's an idea for your books. That's one way you can declutter your books if that's one area of your house that you want to start going through. The third myth that I heard was, what about when I'm having people over? What about when I entertain people? So if you're someone that has regular dinner parties, or you always have the family over to your house for Christmas and holidays and birthdays, downsizing might not be for you as far as moving houses and moving into a smaller house. But you can still downsize your stuff, because no matter how big your house is, if you have a bunch of stuff that you're not using, it starts to feel cramped anyway. You can use the method of going room by room, blocking out some time in your schedule, because it's worth it if you make it a priority. Blocking out some time and going room by room and saying, what do we really use in this room? And take a box with you. And when you find something and look at each item, and when you feel that you don't use it, put it in that box and it can be donated. The Salvation Army is so grateful for anything that you give them. They are so happy to take stuff off your hands. Or if you want to use this experiment, this is a test you can do to see if you really need these things or not. If you're stuck and you have taken all of these things out of your rooms and you put them in boxes and you're saying, I just can't bring myself to part with this. This is an experiment that you can try. You could rent a storage facility, and I know that that's not money that you want to spend, and you're not going to for long. They range from $55 all the way up to like $300 a month. So nobody wants to do this long term, but this is just an experiment that I'm suggesting. So you put all that stuff into a storage facility, and the next month, see if you've had to go to that facility because you need any of those things. I bet you won't. And by the next month, you'll probably forget half of what you even put in there. And by the third month, if you haven't needed any of those items, or especially if you've forgotten what you even put in there, that's a sign that you don't need those. Just stop paying that extra money at the storage facility and donate those things or sell those things and make some money, okay? I have to tell you a story about my mom and her kitchen. So we were texting, my mom and my 2 sisters and I. And one of my sisters was over at my mom's house, and we were reminiscing about Friday nights growing up and how we used to always get pizza or Chinese on Friday nights. And we would watch that whole TGIF segment on ABC. But we were talking about these blue plastic trays that my parents, the TV trays my parents would eat their Chinese on. And we were just laughing about, oh, Friday nights and reminiscing. The next thing I know, my sister, who was visiting my mom, texted me this picture. Those are the blue food trays from 25 years ago that my mom and dad used to eat their Chinese off of. Do you think they use those anymore? I texted back to my mom and I said, did you even know you still had those? Because I can almost guarantee she didn't. And that's how it is with stuff that we had that just accumulates over time, especially if you've lived in a house for several years. You probably have stuff that you don't even know is there. Once you do this and your house is clutter-free, it is such a nice feeling. Everything feels so much more efficient. You know that that time that you spent, where you might have taken a weekend or 2 or 3 where you didn't get to go swimming or you didn't get to play on the computer or watch TV. The clutter-free, stress-free environment that we are living in is worth every minute of time it took, every ounce of energy. I know you guys can do this, because if I can do it, anybody can do it.